Hello, Lynn Watts here with Wyatt the Wonder Dog Books. And today I want to talk about kids and the benefits, believe it or not, of being bored. Well, I'm bored is a statement that you, as an educator or a parent or grandparent, probably hear from kids, I don't know, fairly often. I know I have in my experience with young children. And it can be very frustrating because many times we feel like there is so much to do that how could they possibly be bored? So I think that perhaps one of the best ways to deal with this sort of issue is to change our perspective on it. And that's what I'm going to be talking about today. So before I dive into that, I just want to let you know that if you do have a child who is complaining about being bored, I have created lots of resources that you can certainly refer them to, that they can use on their own, or that you can enjoy with them. So I have 9 picture books all about Wyatt the Wonder Dog, and each one of them is not just a story. So a child can either read it themselves or you as the adult can read it with them. But they also have discussion questions in the back. So there's something to extend the story, to teach a lesson, to get more out of it than simply a story. And then there's also an activity in the back. So, for instance, in the back of this book, Wyatt learns about cooperation, where he has a little issue with his friend on what to play. There is a exercise on cooperation where you can a child can work with another child and figure out how they want to design a bandana similar to the bandana that Wyatt wears in all of his books. In addition to that, if you have one or all of the Wyatt books, there is a family activity guide, which is very useful if you want to add more to the story. So each one of the stories has a section in here with a word search related to the story with several coloring sheets. There's several activities. There's games in here. There are questions. There's mandalas. Child could color that in the picture. So there's all kinds of things related to the different topics of the story. So that's a family activity guide. You can buy all of those things individually on my website, or I do have a package where you can get all 9 books in the family activity book as well. So that is certainly one thing that you can do if you have a child who is feeling bored. So let's talk about, first of all, the benefits of being bored. And I said I wanted to change your perspective on boredom. I think that's important. And it's true that we tend to see, both children and adults, that being bored is something to do away with, to fix, to, fill our time so that we're not bored. But there's actually a lot of benefits of being bored, and I'm just going to run through a few of them and give you some ammunition for talking with children about what to do when they feel bored. So the first one is that being bored actually boosts creativity and imagination. So if we are bored and don't know what to do with our time, then we have an opportunity to use our brain to figure that out. And we can do that in a very creative way. We can imagine things. We can use stories or movies or anything sort of as a springboard for what we want to do, maybe to act out the story. Or just to design something new. So when we're bored, the brain has an opportunity to fill in the gaps. And when there is no external stimulation, then children begin to imagine, they begin to create, invent, and explore. And that is all beneficial. Boredom can build problem-solving skills. So if you see being bored as a problem, then the next question is, what can I do about that? What could I do now? What could I do that I've been wanting to do? What could I create? So again, it is something that can develop some problem-solving skills. That it requires executive functioning and flexible thinking. So rather just having something given to them to fill their time, they have to solve the problem themselves. it encourages independence. So again, when a child has all of their time, all of their needs, all of their opportunities filled in by a schedule or by an adult, now you can do this, now it's time for this, then they don't have the opportunity to make their own choices or to come up with things on their own. So it encourages independence. Now, here's a good one that I know everyone's going to be interested in, especially school counselors, though. It strengthens emotional regulation. How could that be? Well, here's the thing: boredom is one of those feelings, emotions that is uncomfortable. And so learning to tolerate discomfort is part of emotional regulation. The goal is not to change and fix every emotion that we ever have, especially those negative ones of frustration or irritation, even anger. The goal is to understand them, to feel them, and then to move on and cope with them. And that is true of boredom as well. So learning to tolerate that discomfort can build patience and resilience. Um, it also supports intrinsic motivation, something that I know especially when I was in the school, I would hear teachers complain about all the time, that kids only worked for prizes or for a grade or something like that, that they didn't have any internal motivation to do things on their own. When we're bored and we're given that opportunity again to fix that on our own through our own creativity and imagination, it does encourage intrinsic motivation. And so then children begin doing things because they want to, not because they're given it as a recipe for overcoming boredom. It also finally enhances focus and attention. So if a child is feeling very scattered or lack of focus, the brain has to kind of reset and improve concentration in order to come up with how they want to spend their time and what they want to do. Now, obviously, all of these benefits are not magic, all right? So the first time a child is bored and you say, well, I bet you can figure out something to do on your own, you're probably going to get a lot of resistance. And why is that? Well, kids struggle with boredom, especially, I think, in our society today. I think when kids just kind of went outside to play and didn't have the kind of structure and schedule and routines and all the demands that they have today, then boredom was seen a little differently and kids more naturally knew what to do with it. But today, kids have become used to constant stimulation, especially from screens and from structured schedules. So you may find that there's resistance due to that. They've become so accustomed to that. They also lack practice in open-ended play, meaning that they're used to having someone tell them what to do, what the game is, what the results are, how you do it, rather than coming up with games themselves. I know back when I was a child, we just went outside and came up with games ourselves. Now, some of them were ones that we had been taught, but at the same time, we kind of designed the way to play it, when we would play it, how we would play it. It was open-ended. We didn't have an adult saying, now we're going to play this game, and here's how it works. Instead, we did it on our own. So open-ended play is something that kids are not so familiar with. Another thing is that kids can actually be afraid they might make the wrong choice. Like, what if I pick the wrong thing to play and it's not really fun, or nobody else wants to do it, or, there are a million different reasons it could be the wrong choice. So they need to overcome this. And again, to learn that it's okay to make different choices and to change your mind. And then finally, kids have come to, I think, and we're at fault for this, they've come to rely on adults too much for direction in terms of playtime. Again, kids learn so much from their own self-directed play and creativity and independence and emotional regulation. All these things that I've just mentioned are results of that. So as adults, I think we have a huge responsibility to see boredom in children as a huge opportunity not as something that we need to get rid of and make sure it doesn't happen. Rather than keeping kids entertained, we need to help them understand that when they are bored, that's the sign that they're in charge and they get to come up with how they want to spend their time and make it something that they enjoy. So in the next video, I'm going to talk about some strategies for how to do that. But in the meantime, I want to thank you today for watching this video, and again, for all that you do to benefit children.